And if Jack Della looks the way he did last weekend, it's very, very intriguing fight because we've never seen Islam Makhachev fight up at 170 pounds. We've never seen it.
It's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So, Islam is a whole different animal than the Jack's ever been involved with.
I don't think it'll be an easy fight for Jack, but I believe in Jack. I think he's got that X factor. He's got that hunger there. He's got the ticker. And, just like with Bilal, just like with Burns before, I think he can do the impossible.
MMA pros have just shared their final verdicts on the upcoming clash between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena. Stephen Thompson shared his thoughts on the challenges Islam Makhachev might face if he moves up to welterweight, saying that even though Islam is naturally strong, many welterweights cut down from over 205 pounds, so the size and strength difference could be a real problem. And he pointed out that Jack Della Maddalena may not be much taller than Islam, but the overall power and physicality of the welterweight division could be difficult to handle. Thompson praised Makhachev's world-class grappling, but noted that Jack has already faced top wrestlers like Bilal Muhammad. He said the fight wouldn't be easy for Islam, but admitted he's very interested in the matchup and hopes the UFC makes it happen.
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're going up to the welterweight division, those are some big boys. And I know Islam Makhachev walks around fairly heavy, but a lot of these 170s, they walk around real heavy. I'm talking about, over 205, 210 to the 215. Some of the guys that I faced would walk around at that weight. I think the height, I think they might be the same height. I think JDM might be a little taller, but when it comes to those guys and their strength, Islam, I think, is going to have a tough time. Now, do I think he could get it done? Yes. I think he's that good of a grappler. But like I said, JDM has faced some of the best welterweight grapplers and wrestlers in the division. Bilal being one of them. I think it's going to be a tough night for him. I would like to see Islam fight Topuria. That's just me. I would love to see that fight happen. But if he comes up, we'll see what the UFC gets behind. And we all know you got to convince the UFC to make it happen. And you do that first by getting on Twitter, shouting it out, and get people talking about it. And that's what Islam did. So we'll see if that fight happens with JDM.
Ali Abdelaziz confirmed that Islam Makhachev will be fighting for the official welterweight title this year, not an interim belt. He said Jack Della Maddalena is the current champion, but if Jack can't compete, someone else will step in to fight Islam for the vacant title. Abdelaziz explained that this plan has already been approved by the UFC, including Dana White and Hunter Campbell. One key condition for Islam moving up, he noted, was that if Jack gets injured, the belt would be vacated. While Abdelaziz hopes Jack remains healthy, he made it clear the UFC is fully prepared to move ahead with a title fight regardless.
When will it happen, Islam and Jack?
Islam fighting for the title this year. The non-interim title, a title. Jack Maddalena is the champion, but if Jack is not available, it will be someone else fighting Islam for the title. That's what the UFC told me. That's what Dana told me. That's what Hunters, everybody said. And that was one of the stipulations. If Islam go up, Jack get injured, and I hope he's healthy, and he seemed like he's healthy, this title will be vacated, and Islam will fight for welterweight.
MMA analyst Luke Thomas praised Jack Della Maddalena for his impressive striking in his recent fight, saying he stood out even though Bilal Muhammad also had a strong performance. At the same time, Thomas pointed out some weaknesses in Jack's game, such as holes in his defense and dangerous takedown attempts that could leave him open. He warned that these issues might cause problems against a fighter like Islam Makhachev, who is known for his precision, control, and making very few mistakes.
I really think that, you knew the striking prowess of JDM, if he could just have enough time to get it going, would be enough. I think Muhammad somewhat overperformed relative to expectations, but in the end, JDM was better. But the defensive lapses, to me, I know we have to focus on like how good JDM is as a striker, but what could have cost him here was the incompleteness of his defense. And to me, he took a quantum leap forward today in showing how good that was. Now, again, trying to turn that defense into offense by trying to go for some of those ill-advised takedowns, especially in the fifth, and then you're getting kind of lateral dropped for it. You do that against Islam, and I think that's a huge mistake. Islam just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? He doesn't necessarily have, at times, always the flashiest offense. I mean, he does have very good offense. We're talking about the pound for pound #1 guy in the sport. But what really defines him is that he makes very, very good decisions.
Thomas also expressed his excitement about the idea of Islam Makhachev moving up to welterweight. While he agreed that a fight between Makhachev and Ilia Topuria would be exciting, he was even more interested in seeing what Makhachev could achieve at 170 pounds. Thomas admitted that there's no guarantee the move would be successful, but he highlighted the huge opportunity it gives Islam to win a second title and build his legacy as a 2-division champion.
I have to tell you, Islam up at 170 to me is exciting. I know what everyone's going to say. Oh my God, the best fight you could have made in MMA was Ilia versus Islam. I'm not denying it. I'm not in any way asking you to feel differently about what was the best fight that could be made. But here's what I am trying to tell you. Islam up at 170 could be something really special. It could fizzle too, but I'm trying to point out the positives. It could be really special. For him to become a double champ could be a very big deal.
Thomas explained that while Islam Makhachev is likely to face Jack Della Maddalena next, it doesn't mean a future matchup with Ilia Topuria is off the table. He pointed out that even if Islam were to lose a close fight at welterweight, he could still return to lightweight and face Topuria later on. Thomas expressed real excitement about Makhachev moving up to 170 pounds, saying it has the potential to give fans something special, especially if Islam decides to stay in the division for more than one fight. He also said Makhachev has earned the right to go after a second title, noting his history of taking big risks, like fighting Alexander Volkanovski twice, as proof of his willingness to face the toughest opponents.
Makhachev and JDM next doesn't mean you actually can't get Makhachev and Ilia at some point. It could be he goes up against JDM and maybe he doesn't get his ass kicked, but maybe he just kind of loses and you're like, oh, all right. Then you go back to 55 and you can see what's up after that. So it's not even a case that you can't get it. But my point is, Islam at 170, if he gives us 3 or maybe even 4 of those, is a treat as far as I'm concerned. Like him vying for double champ status, he's earned it. He gave Volkanovski 2 cracks. He accepted one of those on short notice, and I know it was like shorter notice for Volkanovski, but you know, nevertheless, accepting to fight Alexander Volkanovski on very, very short notice is still risky no matter who you are and no matter how much prep. And he gave him both of those. He did one of those fights in Volkanovski's home country. He's earned it.
Javier Mendez said it's difficult to say whether Jack Della Maddalena would be Islam Makhachev's toughest test, but he made it clear that Islam wants the fight and is fully prepared for it. He praised Makhachev's skill set and non-stop work ethic, saying Islam is on a different level than anyone Jack has faced so far. Mendez added that if the fight happens, fans can expect to see Makhachev perform at the highest level. He also pointed out that moving up to welterweight suits Islam physically, as he won't be undersized and will be a strong, serious contender in the division.
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. You know, I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, you know, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, you know, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So, you know, Islam is a whole different animal than the Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, you know, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, you know, the weight is not super big for him either, so he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. He'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
Robert Whitaker said it's hard to predict exactly how Islam Makhachev will adjust to moving up to welterweight, as changing weight classes always brings some uncertainty. He explained that these transitions can be tricky because both the physical demands and the strategy involved can change a lot. Despite that, Whitaker expressed confidence in Makhachev's abilities, saying that Islam can do everything Bilal Muhammad does, but with greater precision and at a higher level.
Definitely. But like I said, it is hard to try to get like an accurate gauge on what it's going to look like, not knowing how Islam is going to look when he moves up. Okay, it's always the question everybody asks when anybody is moving up a weight division or down a weight division. Okay, there's so many unknowns involved. But saying that, I think that Islam can do everything that Bilal does, but way better. Okay, way better.
Whitaker also shared his thoughts on Jack Della Maddalena's latest fight, acknowledging that while Jack clearly won, the bout was competitive throughout. He believes a potential matchup between Jack and Islam would be tough for both fighters. However, Whitaker has faith in Jack's potential, praising his determination, toughness, and what he described as an unpredictable quality that makes him stand out. Just as Jack proved himself against top fighters like Belal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns, Whitaker is confident that Jack could rise to another tough challenge.
And the fight, I thought Jack handedly had the fight, but it was a fight. Okay, so I don't think it'll be an easy fight for Jack, but I believe in Jack. I think he's got that X factor. He's got that hunger there. You know, he's got the ticker, and you know, just like with Bilal, just like with Burns before, I think he can do the impossible.
Gilbert Burns expressed his support for Islam Makhachev moving up to welterweight, saying he believes 170 pounds is a better fit for him since Makhachev has struggled to make 155. He praised Makhachev as the top pound-for-pound fighter, but pointed out that a fight with Jack Della Maddalena would be closer than many people expect. Burns noted that Jack has been training with top fighters like Alexander Volkanovski and Craig Jones, which has given him valuable experience and perspective. While Burns hasn't fully broken down the matchup yet, he believes it would be a highly competitive and interesting fight.
Islam is working very hard. He's been saying vocal that he wants to go up to 170. I think he's a big boy. He killed himself to make 55. I think that's the right division for Islam. He just tweeted something after the fight that he will not vacate the title, and then he vacated the title. I don't know, but probably that was in the negotiation. Yeah, I like him moving up. I proving himself. He's #1 pound for pound right now. It's a good fight. Jack and Islam closer than people think, especially with Jack Della Maddalena doing a lot of training with Volk, with Craig Jones, those guys that kind of back the Islam on that first Volk fight. I think they're gonna have a lot of info, a lot of study, a lot of answers. It's closer than people think, this fight. I really like this fight. I don't have time right now. I didn't have time to dig deep a little too much on that fight, but I think it's way closer than people think. And JDM has a clear shot on beating.
Dan Hardy shared his thoughts on Jack Della Maddalena's potential, recognizing his impressive skills, but questioning whether he can truly dominate the welterweight division as the competition gets tougher. He praised Della Maddalena's performance against Belal Muhammad, but expressed more skepticism about how Islam Makhachev would fare at 170 pounds. While Hardy respects Makhachev's dominance at lightweight, he doesn't see him overcoming Della Maddalena. He raised concerns about whether Islam could handle the physical demands of the welterweight division, particularly the size difference and the stamina required for a 5-round fight.
I think Della Maddalena's got a bright future. I don't know whether he's going to hold the belt or, you know, he's going to lose it to another one of the top contenders and then pick it back up again. I don't think he's going to lose it to Makhachev, though. I think Makhachev holds the lightweight belt against anybody in the world, you know, on any day, you know, including Ilia Topuria. I don't think if he moved up, he would have much success against Makhachev. But Della Maddalena looked very, very sharp against Belal. And I wonder what Makhachev would look like as a welterweight, you know, whether he would look as strong and as lean or whether he would look heavier and, you know, potentially gas himself out because he'd be stepping straight into a 5-round fight, wouldn't he?
Daniel Cormier described a potential fight between Jack Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev as an exciting, high-stakes matchup with significant implications. He mentioned that if Jack continues performing at his current level, the fight would become even more intriguing, especially since fans have yet to see Islam compete at welterweight. While Cormier acknowledged Islam's physical strength, he questioned whether Islam could match Jack's size and frame, particularly after reports that Islam had slimmed down in preparation for a potential fight during International Fight Week. He raised concerns about whether Islam would have enough time to properly bulk up and adjust to the demands of a new weight class.
Jack Della looks the way he did last week, and it's very, very intriguing fight because we've never seen Islam Makhachev fight up at 170 pounds. We've never seen it. We've never seen him have to compete up 15 more pounds. Yes, he is a big dude, but in terms of full-on stature, is he big as Jack Della Maddalena is? And also, if he thought he may fight International Fight Week, how small had he gotten? And how much time does he have to put the weight back on the right way before he moves up to 170?
Cormier also emphasized that the fight is intriguing not just for its technical aspects, but because of the storyline behind it. Jack just won the welterweight title by defeating Belal Muhammad, and now he's being challenged by a dominant champion from a lighter division. DC pointed out that the buildup is full of drama and unanswered questions, making the potential matchup even more captivating. While analysts will later dive into the tactical details, Cormier noted that the current focus is on the compelling narrative that makes this fight so exciting.
Lot of questions. But it's a big time fight, and we'll get into the X's and O's as we get closer. But right now, we're talking the story. We're talking about a guy that just beat Belal Muhammad to become champion, now getting challenged by a 155-pound champion.
Henry Cejudo predicted that Islam Makhachev would defeat Jack Della Maddalena and become a 2-division UFC champion, calling it the natural next step in building Islam's legacy. In contrast, Kamaru Usman showed support for Jack, praising his composure in the cage and expressing confidence that Jack has the skills to successfully defend his welterweight title. Both Cejudo and Usman agreed that the fight is likely to take place in October in Abu Dhabi, which means any potential matchup between Makhachev and Ilia Topuria is currently on hold.
I think Islam Makhachev is going to beat him. I think he's going to become the 11th double champ in UFC history.
Islam tweeted, "Keep it shiny, keep it nice for me." JDM, I mean, it was kind of like the perfect comeback. He was just like, yeah, come get it.
Keep my belt clean. Okay, so the has begun, dude. That fight is set. That fight's gonna take place in October, Abu Dhabi. I think we all know that. We're no longer gonna get Ilia versus Islam Makhachev just now.
Michael Bisping spoke highly of Jack Della Maddalena, calling his victory over Belal Muhammad a standout moment in his career. He praised Jack not only for his impressive skills inside the cage, but also for his humble and respectful attitude, describing him as a genuinely good person. Bisping highlighted Jack's readiness to take on tough challenges and noted that his performance has positioned him for the next big test, facing Islam Makhachev, a fight Bisping believes is on the horizon.
Tonight belongs to Jack Della Maddalena. He's an awesome human being. I've sat down with him several times and had some conversations. Nice guy, quiet guy, a man of few words, but I tell you what, that was an incredible fight tonight. And he'll take on Islam Makhachev. He doesn't care. He wants to be a part of the biggest fights possible. Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. That's the fight that's going to happen, and that's the fight that I will be doing a video on next.
Ian Machado Gary praised Islam Makhachev, stating that if he moves up to welterweight to fight for the title, every fighter in the division should take notice. He described Makhachev as a highly skilled and dangerous opponent capable of causing serious problems for anyone he faces. Gary believes that without the stress of cutting weight, Makhachev could become even more effective, making his already elite skills even more dangerous. He also highlighted that Makhachev is a perfect example of the modern MMA fighter, smart, technical, calm under pressure, and a genuine threat to anyone in the cage.
And if that man turns up and says, "I want to be next," then I think everyone in the welterweight division goes, okay. He's an absolute disaster for everyone in the division if he comes up and doesn't have to cut weight. He'll still be big, he'll still be strong. He's the perfect example of the new evolution of fighters. Great everywhere.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about the matchup? We would love to hear your thoughts. So share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other videos on the screen.